If we only had love. So before I start, I have one really important question. What is the philosophy behind all of the traffic circles on 260? I know. Where's the traffic? I mean, extra money somewhere, I'm guessing. Anyway, but you know what? It's far forward thinking, right? You're going to need it someday. Oh my. Okay. So, love has probably been written about more than any other topic. From Paul's 13th chapter of 1 Corinthians to Erich Fromm's The Art of Loving. It has been read about and studied by countless people, and yet it must be said that real love is rare. And by real love, I mean that deep, inner, divine, given love that comes from being made in the image and likeness of God. It's not that it's not there. It's just rare that we uncover it. And love is one of those words that the definition is in the person, not in the word. So it has maybe as many definitions as there are people. So I want to be clear that today I'm talking about divine love when I talk about real love. In 1981, in his book, Practical Metaphysics, Eric Butterworth wrote that we should be a center of love. It sounds prophetic today to quote him, because listen to what he said in 1981. When the world around you is in turmoil, you may be confused as to where you should stand. When social issues become polarized and politicized, people may demand to know, are you for us or against us? It's important to know that you need not become trapped in divisiveness. You can take a stand for unity. The one thing to be against is the tendency to react in anger and hostility, to give vent to feelings of bias and prejudice. And the important thing to be for is the way of love. He goes on to say, when you become judgmental, no matter what you say you stand for, you are on the side of the problem. Instead, be an active onlooker. In your mind's eye, draw a circle around the whole scene, including yourself. Here you will easily overwhelm them with a love that will dissolve differences and open the way to understanding communication. 1981. It's a little sad that we're still talking about it instead of doing it, but it's wonderful that we're still talking about it. The title of my talk today is Love, the One Creative Force. You may argue with that. Maybe it isn't the one creative force. But today, I think it is. It's a topic I've spoken on many times in the past 8 years. And when I started to prepare for today, and I looked at what I had said before, I realized I've evolved. Imagine that. And that I have some deeper feelings about some of these things. So I got the title originally from an article I read about Russian American sociologist named Peter Sorokin. He founded the Harvard Center for the Study of Creative Altruism in 1949. The main purpose was to define and learn how to use creative love. The point is that creative love is a power which, if used wisely, can only produce positive effects. And I want to take note that I said, if used wisely, because it seems to me that we pretty much get what we love. Bible scripture teaches us that what we ask for, we receive. But what if we love power? Any kind of power? Power to control other people, power that's maybe not so positive. What if we love wealth and getting it by any means necessary? My belief is that the spiritual principles work just like the physical ones, like gravity. No matter how we choose to use them, we get what we love. So that's why we need to be intentional and pay attention to what we really want. If we want a life full of altruistic love, peace, compassion, and joy, then that's what we have to ask for, and that's what we have to put out there. Because we also know another spiritual principle: we will get what we give. And by the way, love is not something that you get from another person or even from God. For we are already created in and of love, in the image and likeness of God. You'll be able to tell by the end of this talk that my favorite divine idea is that we are created in the image and likeness of God. And if your God is the same God as my God, oh my, that is amazing and wonderful. And so we have love. We came in with it. It's part of us. We were already created in and of love, in the image and likeness of God. Therefore, it's something we can never lack because it's always within us. Creativity is defined as the ability to make new things or think of new ideas. It does, of course, involve imagination, but imagining something alone is not enough to bring it forward. We must be able to feel the feeling of the new thing. We have to feel what it would be like in reality. We have to love the idea enough to follow it through, to make it happen. So according to both Sorokin, the scientist sociologist, and Butterworth, the spiritual teacher and author, love is the primary force in our life. It's how we're drawn to other souls, situations, and objects. The power of love can draw many energies together, even opposites, to complete a task. It can run an organization or pursue a cause. We see this every day in our daily lives, in religion, politics, community affairs, and our families. On a personal level, love is what brings people together and keeps relationships alive and on course. And any challenge, no matter how great, can be overcome with divine love. Love has no limitations, and it breaks down all obstacles to anything that seems impossible. But too frequently for us, love is outer centered and other motivated. It's thought of as an object rather than a spiritual gift. We often reason that if someone gives us love, then we'll be able to love them. But intuitively, we know that love is an inner power and not an object to obtain, and that our real need is to love and not just to find someone to love us. Because of our inner divine nature, we're hardwired to love, made in the image and likeness of God. Within every person is a hunger and thirst to be loved and express love, to let the power of divine love literally flow through us. We spend our entire lives, in fact, I think this is the whole reason we're here, to remember who we are at our core. And our journey depends on how successful we are at remembering that. Love's not a commodity, it's a creative process through which we touch and express our own deeper nature. It's not a slave to our emotions or senses, as we frequently believe. It is divine law. Divine law. Love is the reality of our perfect and complete self. And we can either discourage or express it. And unless we realize this truth, we may go on believing the myth that someday love will happen to us. Well, love never just happens, ever. People spend years in their lives trying to find love, but love is not to be found because it exists not in finding the right person or situation, but in becoming the right person. And expanding enough to give love and to welcome love into your life. To be a center of love, as Eric Butterworth says. So with regard to the commandment to love your neighbor, it really means act lovingly toward them. This is the intent of the commandment, not to love others, but to be loving, be love. To love them deals with something you give them or something you do to or for them. But being loving is about your attitude toward them and how you see them. And Jesus made the commandment even more meaningful in Mark when he said, "You shall love your neighbor as yourself." So you can't really know love for anyone else unless you know and love yourself. That's a big job for a lot of us. We have lots of help, a lot of us growing up, to not really love ourselves. It's kind of like built into the process. So it's another thing we have to remember, that we're lovable and we're worthy. So understand this connection and the cause and effect here. If you don't love yourself, you are not centered in the God reality of yourself. Why would God love you if you're not lovable? Is God dumb? No, don't think so. If you don't love yourself, you're not letting yourself be love as God is love. When someone says or does something we don't like, we can always take offense and then react with hostility or anger. So this gets right down to the nitty-gritty of being love. Sometimes that anger and hostility is the easiest and most human way to react. But then we reveal a lack of self-respect and self-love. It says more about ourselves than it says about the other person. So this makes me think of something that happened to me a few years back. I went to the cleaners one day, and it's a cleaners I had been going to for years, close to my house. I always thought they were wonderful and did good work and were very professional and kind. And I kind of look forward to going there. I really like the people there. And this particular time, I had 2 or 3 things, but I had a blouse there that was a new blouse that a friend had given me. It didn't fit her, and she'd never worn it. It was linen, it was coral, 2 of my favorite things. And I thought, oh, wow, I love this. And I was thinking of all the ways that I could wear it. And I was so excited. And because it hadn't fit her, it kind of gone back and forth in the closet and gotten wrinkled as linen does. And so I thought I'd take it to the cleaners, get it all spiffed up, and it would be like brand new. So I go to the cleaners, I give them my ticket, and the woman who was waiting on me comes out and she only has 2 items. And I said, there's one more. And she said, oh, I said, there's a blouse. She says, oh, the one that was pink. And I thought, what does that mean? And then I thought, that doesn't make any sense. So I just kind of, disregarded it. She went in the back, she came out carrying this blouse that was like not coral. It was not pink either. It was off-white. And it was my blouse. I was stunned. I mean, I couldn't believe it. It's like, that's what I said. How did this happen? What happened? And she you could tell she felt horrible. And she said, well, the guy who did this job mixed it up with another order, and a blouse was supposed to be bleached out. And he bleached your blouse out. And again, speechless, stunned, disappointed, angry. And inside, I felt like a thunderstorm. But I don't think I said a lot, but my face is kind of an open book kind of face. And I'm sure I looked really upset. And sometimes when I'm not upset, people think I'm upset. So I'm thinking, because when I'm thinking, it's hard work. But I think that this time I must have really been scary. And her face, and I just couldn't think of anything else to say after I asked a couple of questions, and there was no answer to this. I mean, it was obvious what happened. I took my stuff, turned around, and literally started to stomp out the door. And just as I got to the door, something literally felt like it just whipped me back around. And I stopped and I took a breath and I thought, is this really the way you want to leave this person? Is this really the way you want to treat her? Because I realized that, first of all, she had nothing to do with the problem. And secondly, I didn't want to be that person. And though I felt like, sometimes inside what you're feeling is, I just want to say some bad word to this person, you're not going to do that. Well, I thought, I don't want to leave her, me stomping out being the last thing that she saw here. So I said to her, I really am disappointed, and I really love that blouse, and I really don't anymore. But I don't want you to think that this is your fault, because it isn't. And I know it's not. And I don't want you to feel bad about it. And that was the truth. I could see how badly she was taking it. And part of it was because of the way I was behaving. And I could have stopped that amount of distress for her in the beginning had I not behaved the way I behaved. So my point is, so we said whatever we needed to say, finished with the conversation. I went back many times after that. We were fine. Everything was fine. But the point is that I realized to this day, if I have something go wrong with a customer service person, and there was a period of time in the early 2000s when I had trouble with all customer service people. I don't think there was any customer service people right then. But I learned in that one, it always flashes into my mind: breathe, be calm, state what's wrong, just the facts. Don't beat up on people, because the person you're talking to is almost never the person who made the mistake in those cases. And even if it is, I still do it. And even if they're rude to me, it's harder. And I still have my little voice calling them names inside, but I still manage. Because you know what? And the other thing that happens is so nice. You get all kinds of discounts and coupons and codes to put in the next thing you buy when you're nice to them, because people are almost never nice to customer service people. They're mad when they call. And if you happen to be one of those who is there, it's striking to them. It's like, oh my gosh, we have this special thing for you. $25 off your next thing. It makes you want to go buy something right then. It's good for everybody. So I'm just saying, we can change the world when you see yourself as an individual who's centered in the love of the divine, which is what happened there. It's like, I know who I am. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that mean, nasty, I'll get even by stomping out. I mean, it doesn't even work. But, that's what you think you're doing. I don't want to be that person. Actually, when you put yourself back to where you really are, a person centered in divine love, it's adequate to heal any situation. Any situation. I've had family arguments where, those kind where you're having two different conversations and they keep saying, but you said, and I keep saying, no, I didn't say. And they say, yes, but you said, and I say, no, I said this. And finally you realize nobody's going to back off from this. If you just stop and say, I don't know how crazy I must have sounded if you think I said that, because I don't feel it. And whatever I said and whatever I did, I love you. That's my family strategy. I pass it on to you free of charge. It always works. You don't even have to apologize. You just say, I must have sounded crazy if you thought I meant that. But all I know is I would never do anything to hurt you, and I love you. And that's the truth, almost always, in most families. Almost always. So the wise person, we can always choose to take offense. Some people just walk around looking to be offended. I bet people like that. I do, and that's sad for them. So some people may always take offense. But for the wise person will always create a better situation by tapping into that divine love. Whatever it takes to do that. It's certainly, if it doesn't make them feel better, and some people are tough cookies, it'll make you feel better. And you're the one you have to live with. I mean, if you can't change their mind, and a lot of times we can't, at least you can live with yourself because you know you tapped into your divine love. Every one of us makes choices every day about whether to react to situations from human consciousness, or as Meister Eckhart said, to let God be God in you. In all human relations, it's a good thing to begin with the principle that people are innately wonderful and worthy of love. With practice, you'll find you can look through them to their divine core instead of just at them. Haven't you done this before? Haven't you ever had a friend? I seem to do this often, that a lot of people don't like, or they just don't know how to get along with them, that they seem hard to get along with. And you just see right through to their core and you just love them to death. And you see all the funny little quirks and all the sense of humor and the dry sense of humor that other people don't like. And you just love them. So you can do this. That's all that is. It's just seeing the child of God and knowing in there is that, and it might be a challenge, but once you reach that in them, chances are you've got a friend for life. And then other people may start to notice that quirky sense of humor too. And that's how it works. So cherish the love in your life. We're always in love, in divine love. We're always loved. And we always have enough love within us to deal with any and all relationships and experiences that come along in the world. Khalil Gibran said, when you work with love, you bind yourself to yourself and to one another and to God. Work then becomes a creative experience, an outworking of our divine potential. The hardest work you'll ever do is that which is done without love. It's like driving a car with the brakes on to try to get something done without love. So express love in as many ways as possible. Listen to this. I just love this. So I want you to really listen carefully to this. One of the last quotes I'll give you. I love Eric Butterworth. Had you noticed? Eric Butterworth in Life is for Loving. He wrote a million books, so he has a book for everything. That's why I can quote him on everything. Life is for Loving. He said, love is the foundation of the creative process, the root of the reality of the universe, and the very nature of the infinite power and presence we call God. One power. That's why I thought of that song. All things begin with love. Genesis says, in the beginning was the Word. Listen to this really carefully. I love this. I love it. If for no other reason, just because I love it, I want you to listen to it. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. We've all read this. We've all heard this. But then John in the New Testament says, God is love. So the Word was God, and God is love. So I love this. If the Word was God and God is love, then paraphrasing, in the beginning was love, and love was with God, and love was God. And God said, let us make them in our image, after our likeness. So God created them in his own image. Love. God is love. We are love, pure love. Everything is about love. When will we ever freaking get that? Sorry, that's about the biggest word I'm going to use in public. Anyway, my animals know, but they're the only ones who know all the words that I've said. And Butterworth adds more about this. He says, so it is that humans are created in and of love. No matter how far they may stray from the root of reality into the circumstances of living, it is always true in principle, as in the beginning, that they are rooted and grounded in the allness. This is a Butterworth word, the allness of divine love. Allness. Love the word. The chief work of a person's life is to remember their true nature, which is created in the image and likeness of God, who is love. See, Eric Butterworth said all this. And to get on with the business of life, which is for loving. Isn't that great? Butterworth said the business of life is for loving. We're missing something, aren't we? The business of life is for loving. Isn't that like the key to everything? This makes perfect sense because we are all made in love, the image of love. So after standing here and saying all of this, I want to say the world does not need another sermon about love. It needs a new commitment to the action of loving, to letting the creative process of love work. Werner Erhard said, "You don't have to go looking for love when it's where you come from." And what does love create? The spiritual gifts that come from expressing divine creative love are endless. They include forgiveness, compassion and empathy, joy and peace of mind, connection, wisdom and understanding. Love creates happier outcomes, better friends, less stress, self-esteem, more fun, in general, a wonderful, fulfilling life. So allow this power that is living in your core, it's there, to express and take over your life. Don't be afraid. Do it. Just do it. And in doing so, give you access to the greatest creative force in the universe, love. So let's take that into meditation. So I want you to find a comfortable position, feet firmly on the floor. Feel the support, both physical and spiritual, in this room. So we claim this inner power of love, this power that we were born with, this power that is with us always, this power that we forget about sometimes. We claim it as the absolute answer to every problem, big or small, to every challenge, to every hope and dream. It's love. And we acknowledge that it's everywhere, just for the asking. We see that we can use it to create a fulfilling life. We're so grateful for the love around us. We open our hearts to be more aware of love where it is, to be ready and open to take it in, and to be willing to give it, to not be afraid, to know that the end results of love can only be good. So we draw a circle around everyone in this room. We make ourselves a center of love. A warm place, a comforting place, a wise place, a place where love always flows and is always ready. We're willing to change our lives. We're willing to change our relationships. We're willing to change our world, to see love everywhere and especially in others. And finally, we affirm we are creatures of divine love, created in and of love. We are in love with life, and life is in love with us. We are the work of God made visible through his love, and our work is to let this love express in us and as us, and to let it overflow through the work of our hands and the creativity of our mind. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.